Happy flex day, midweek flex day, love it. Hope you are all getting some good rest, but are ready to learn. That was really cheesy, I apologize. But here we go. So, we are in Unit 4, Lesson 5, doing Writing Equations Part 2. So again, like what I said yesterday, pretty much the same thing of writing equations, but we just kind of separated it so you're not getting it all in one day. What two values do you need to write an equation of a line in this form? I stress this a lot. We have to find an m and a b. Remember, I said that a lot yesterday. I was like, you need an m and a b, an m and a b. That's literally like to write an equation. Those are the pieces you need, where m, remember, is your slope, and b is your y-intercept, or we call it a starting point sometimes. Okay? So that was all from yesterday. Today, though, it's going to be just different because, well, you still need an m and a b, but it's not going to be given to you as easily as yesterday. Yesterday, you just looked at the graph and you could find both of these. So now we're going to talk about what if it's not blatantly given to you m and b. Well, I'm going to give you ways of finding m and b. So what are the variables in this equation? M and b stand for things, so they're not variables. X and y are your variables, because what x and y represent is any point on the line. X comma y is a point, okay? A point has coordinates x, y. So anytime you know a point on the line, you have x and y. You don't have m and b. M and b are separate values, okay? M is your slope, b is your y-intercept. X and y stand for any point, okay? So you have specific values for x and y, which can help you find your m and your b, or your slope and your y-intercept. So sometimes we're going to use a point to find m or find b. All right, that's what we're going to be working with today. But our general steps, okay, our general steps is to find our m, find our slope, and find your y-intercept, or b. And that is, highlight this or something to draw attention to it, that is when you are going to use any point. So we're going to use maybe an x and a y to find b, okay? But then the last part is just to write the equation in slope-intercept form, which I will remind you of again. There's our formula, okay? Y equals mx plus b. We're using that a ton today. Okay, so write these steps down. These are very important. We're going to do the same 3 steps over and over and over again, okay? So, writing an equation between 2 points. So step 1, find the slope, okay? We've done finding the slope between 2 points. So if I need to write an equation that passes through the points 1, 6, and 3, 2, remember, we have a formula. Remember doing this? That whole day on slope? We did a whole day on slope for this reason. Step 1 is find the slope. So we have to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm just plugging in. I labeled my points. y2 is 2 minus y1 is 6 over x2 is 3 and x1 is 1. Okay? So then I'm just going to reduce my slope. I get that this is negative 4 over 2, but that reduces. It reduces to negative 2. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Okay? Highlight it and save it for later. We will use it because remember, we need to write an equation in m and b. So, step 2, find b. We need an m and we need a b, like what I said yesterday. So, find the y-intercept using any point. I'm going to write out this formula. Y equals mx plus b. We already know m. M we just found, okay? So right away, just like we did yesterday, we can go fill in negative 2, okay? But look what we have. We have an issue right now. We have way too many variables, and we don't have a b, okay? So here's what's new today. We need to find b. We need to solve for b. So what we're going to do is take one of our points. I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to use this one, and I'm plugging him in. I have an x and a y. So my 6 is my y. My 6 is going to go in for y. I know my slope is negative 2, and then what I'm plugging in for x is 1 plus b. okay? And then we're going to solve. So I'm going to drag this over. I would have 6 equals -2 times 1 is -2 plus b, and solve for b. So I'm moving the 2 away from b to get b by itself. So b equals 8. Save, highlight, save for later. Okay, so that, if you didn't get that, you need to watch that again to see how we find b by using a point. So I used that first point, okay? I used that first point. I'll even highlight it so you know. I used 6 and 1 right there. I just plugged them in for x and y to find b, okay? And then this last part, just some people forget, is we are writing an equation, just like we did yesterday. So y equals, m is -2. M always has an x, plus 8. Look, this is just like what we did yesterday. But we had to do more work to find m and b. That's the only difference, is I had to do work to find m and do work to find b. All right? So if that was a lot, pause it, rewind it, watch it again, okay? Or just keep going with me because I'm going to do that whole process over again. So let's just jump in. So step 1. Here are my points. I'm just going to go label them right away. And step 1 is to find slope. So I have a formula for that. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So plug in my points. y2 is 6. y1 is 9. X2 is 8. And x1 is -4. So be careful with that. Make sure you have 2 negatives. Because this becomes -3 over 12, which reduces to -1 over 4. Okay, that's all from like Friday finding. So highlight, save for later. That's my M. Okay. Now, step 2, find B by plugging in a point. So what I suggest, and you should do this every single time, write the general formula, because that's going to help you determine where you're plugging things in for. I'm going to skip Y right now. I'm going to drop down B because I have no idea what B is. Now let's talk about it. Pick any of these points. So I'm going to pick the positive numbers. I don't like negatives. So my X and my Y. So my Y is 6. 6 is going in here. M I just found to be -1/4. And X comes from my point, which is 8. And then plus B. So do some math. 6 equals -1/4 times 8 is -2. Plus B, and solve for B. So adding 2 on both sides. So B, this is weird, but B ends up being 8 again. Highlight, save for later, because now I found both of my pieces that I need for my equation. The whole point of the equation is to find M and find B. So Y equals, M is -1/4, X plus B, which I just found to be 8. Okay? A lot of people just forget to do that at the end. Alright, so again, if you didn't get it, pause, rewind, and try it again. Moving on though. Writing an equation from a table. I'm gonna be honest, it's the exact same thing we just did. Okay, the only difference is how many points are we given? 4. But how many do we need to find slope? Only 2. Okay, because our formula for slope for part 1 of slope only needs 2 points. Okay, and then how many points do you need to write the equation of a line? 1. Okay, so I don't need all 4 of these. Pick 2. Remember when we did slope? I always pick positive numbers, so I'm going to pick these 2. That has a negative, but at least it's not all negative. So part 1, just like what we did on the other side, find slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If it helps, write these as ordered pairs. -4, 7, and 8, 25. And label them. x1, y1, x2, y2, to help you out there a little bit. So my slope is y2 minus y1, so 25 minus 7. x2 is 8, minus x1 is -4, so minus, again, the double negative. So 25 minus 7 is 18 over 12, and that reduces to 3 over 2. highlight, save for later. There's my slope. There's my m. Find my b, same process as before. We're plugging things in. mx plus b. You just got to pick a point. So my point comes from the table. It doesn't matter what point you pick. I'm going to pick my positive number, so I'm picking 25, 825. So there's my x and my y. So my y is 25. M is 3/2. X is 8. And plus b. And we're going to solve for b. So 25 equals, put this in your calculator, 3/2 times 8, which you should get 12, plus b, and solve for b. So this time I'm subtracting 12. b equals 13. Highlight, save for later. Okay, so there's my two pieces, just like before. Y equals m, which was 3/2. There's always an x. Don't forget the x. A lot of people were forgetting the x. Plus 13 for my b. So again, it's the same process, just looks a little different because it gives you 4 points, but you only need 2 of them. Okay, so pick the 2 that you want to work with. All right. Moving on. We're flying through it. But again, you can always pause. So write the equation from the graph. So we have done this before. We did this yesterday. But what is different, I can't see my b value. Okay, the graph doesn't show your y-intercept. So you can't just say there isn't one, there is one. We just have to basically find 2 points that we're going to use, okay? So I'm gonna pick, let's pick this guy, because that's a pretty point, and this guy. Write those as ordered pairs, okay? So I'm gonna pick this one right here was -5, -2, or is it -6, -2? Yeah, -6, -2. And then that other one right here was -5, -5. They're gross points, but they're ones that are cleanly on coordinates, okay? And then do the same thing we did, okay? Now the nice thing about this is I don't have to do the formula for slope, okay? So step 1 of find slope, how about we just do rise over run, okay? So I'll write that out, rise over run equals, let's go to my graph, rise left to right, down 3, okay, -3, over 1. So my rise over run is -3 over 1, which reduces to -3. So that's the nice part about a graph. You can find your m by counting it. Okay, save it for later. But we do have to do step 2 of find b by plugging in a point. Okay, so y equals mx plus b. I'm plugging in y and x. That's why I wrote out my points, because I'm going to pick one of these to use. So let's just pick this one. I'll highlight it so you guys know where I got it. I'm going to use these points. So I'm going to plug in -5 for y. M we just found to be -3, and then x is -5 because they're both -5. Plus b, and solve for b. So -5 equals 15 plus b, subtract 15 on both sides. So b equals -20. Okay, and I'm done. Well, almost. I have to write my equation, but I'm done with finding m and b. So write my equation, y equals all that less work actually, -3x, and then -20 for b. So again, you wouldn't be able to find that because it doesn't cross on here, but it will way down there. So that's why we had to do the extra work versus what we had to do yesterday by just looking, okay? So it's not that it isn't there, it's just that it's way down there. It's a big negative number. All right, and we're almost done, but this one's very important, okay? Because it's putting together things that we've done the past few days, okay? So after 5 months, Sam has 53 video games. After 11 months, he has 95 video games. Assuming that he collects the same number of video games per month, how many video games will he have after 24 months? So I'm not going to worry about this part until the end. But what I'm going to worry about is we've talked about this before. 5 months, 53 video games. We can write that as an ordered pair. Remember, X is usually time. So if you need to write that, write it. Okay, so I'm going to call 5 my x value and 53 my y value. You should be remembering this from slope. So try the other one. Pause it, try the other one. You should get 1195. And look, it's just like the past 4 problems we've done today. It's the same process over and over and over again. So step 1, slope. Here you will have to use the formula, and I'll write the formula again. I want you to pause it though. Pause it now and try it on your own. Got it? 7 over 1 or 7. And now again, I want you to pause it and try it on your own for step 2, the b. And we're almost done. Let's write my equation, just like what we did, past 5 examples. Y equals m, which is 7, x plus 18 for b. Boom, there's my equation. But this one's just a little weird. It takes you one more step, because there's my equation, but how many video games will Sam have after 24 months? You just need to plug 24 in to actually answer this problem. So plugging 24 in for x, and I'll tell you it right now, you'd go 7, 24, in parentheses, plus 18. So in your calculator, you would do this. And you should get 186 games. So just using, this is asking you to use the equation that you had to create. All right, but that, again, I just want to emphasize, step 1, find slope, find m. Step 2, find b, okay? M and b, that's literally, I'm stressing it a lot because that is the goal of this, is just to find those 2 pieces. You just have to find them a little, it takes more work today. Finding m, you had to do the formula. Finding b, you have to plug in a point and use algebra to solve for b. Okay, so if you got stuck, please watch this again, or at least watch one of them, because it's the same process over and over again. All right, but 6 problems on Math Excel. It's pretty much one of each type. So work on that, and I will see you Thursday.